conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I'd like to call the Plan Commission meeting to order for Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. Roll call, please.
Mary Podolsky?
Here.
Gary Paul?
Here.
Chris Atkinson?
Here.
Jay Krieger?
Here.
Mike Stickington?
Here.
Craig Campbell?
Here.
And Jim Allen.
Present.
Please stand for the pledge.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remember all of our men and women throughout the world in uniform. I have no changes to the agenda. I need a motion to approve.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Number 5, action on the minutes from the Plan Commission of December 5th, 2023.
Move to approve as presented. Second.
Motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Number 6, comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda, must state your name and address. You're limited to 5 minutes. The board's role is to listen and not discuss the item. Personnel issues cannot be discussed nor individuals named, and the board is not able to take action at this meeting. Is there anybody in the public or online that would like to speak on something not on the agenda? Anybody like to speak on something not on the agenda? Okay, moving on. Number 7, action items. 7A, consider, discuss, act on a rezoning request for parcel VA-882-2, 3560 Packerland Drive from Business Park BP to multifamily residential R3. Aaron.
All right, thank you. Let me just bring it up on screen here. Bear with me a second. All right, so as indicated in the action item, the requested rezone is to go from BP Business Park to R3 multifamily residence. As indicated in the map that you see before you, the property highlighted in yellow right here, subject property BP to R3. It is surrounded by a mixture of different zoning categories as it is right now. BP to the north, this is the American Family Insurance property, who actually currently owns this property as well. To the south is the village of Hobart. To the west is the Cornerstone property. And then to the east is additional business park. Southeast is RE, or rural estate residential development. So again, it is a relatively mixed area of the village in terms of zoning, but it is primarily BP Business Park, which is what is currently zoned. The request to rezone it to R3 is to facilitate the development of this vacant parcel into a series of townhomes and apartments, very similar to what is currently approved for the Cypress and West Main property just to the north of this site. It is the same development group that's entertaining this option. When reviewing rezoning proposals set forth by the Plan Commission, what you need to do is compare that rezoning to the intents and purposes of the village's comprehensive plan. What you're doing is you're reviewing the rezoning to determine whether or not the proposed rezoning is consistent with the plan. Under state statutes, again, consistency is further defined basically as not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. So it's a little bit of word spaghetti there, but what you're doing is you're looking at, again, the intents, goals of the plan, overall feeling of the plan. Does this fit in with what is developed or identified in that comprehensive plan? The comprehensive plan does further define or further identify what is considered desirable, allowable, and undesirable uses within certain areas of the village. In this case, this is within the southwest Ashwaubenon Business Park area of the comprehensive plan. It identifies apartment uses and senior uses or senior apartment type uses as undesirable. It does identify commercial mixed use residential as allowable. So again, the comprehensive plan again is not a ordinance per se, but it is something to use as a guide in reviewing rezoning proposals. It's also important to note that the comprehensive plan does identify that undesirable uses, although identified as undesirable, may in some instances still make sense depending upon the surrounding land uses and zoning classifications in that area. I guess with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the rezoning process. If you have any questions regarding the project or development, Ryan Van Straten, representing the development group, is online, and Paul Mentink from Abacus Architects, also representing the development group, is available in the audience as well. I guess I'd probably just open it up, ask if Ryan or Paul had anything to add at this point, and I'll probably start with Ryan.
Aaron,
Sure. Thank you, Aaron. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Van Straten. I'm the president of Alliance Management. We're looking at this site because we feel it's a great spot for multifamily. I understand the comprehensive plan, it's considered an undesirable use, but that's for large tract of land in the area that does have a lot more industrial uses. This is very much on the edge of that zoning and does border other residential uses. And, from our perspective, being right next to the Cornerstone Community Center, residential use makes a lot of sense for this site. On Packerland itself, there's an eclectic use of different uses. There's office, there's retail with the Green Bay Tennis Center, there's industrial, there's single family homes. So it wouldn't look out of character. If you go north or south, you hit residential neighborhoods. This being on the boundary of the business park and being on the west side of Packerland there, I think it makes a lot more sense as a multifamily use. And it's quite a nice location there, and we think it's going to be very desirable. So we're planning on putting in higher end apartments, townhomes. They're going to look like condos from the street. The idea of our site plan is to kind of ring the site with the largest, most expensive units to give it that higher end feel. And, of course, because multifamily uses are so dense, there will be pretty high tax base added from this project. And our plan would be to operate this as part of a community with our other site on Cypress there. So these two projects, under 200 units total between the two of them, would be operated as a single site. We do plan on closing on the land on February 6th.
that's not closed yet.
Pardon, Gary?
That's not closed yet?
No, that's not uncommon. What'll typically happen, in this case, they will be purchasing the land regardless, but in other instances, they will request a rezoning as a condition of sale. So that's pretty common.
No, and in this case, we do plan on closing on the land. Our hope is that we're able to work something out with Ashwaubenon because, like I said, I think this site is very well suited for residential, and we're proposing the type of residential that will fit in very well with the community. We're planning on keeping the trail that runs along the site around that entire block, setting back the townhomes from Packerland so they're not right up against the street. We're not going to get as much density as you could get, but our goal is to make the site plan extremely attractive. That's our higher priority. It'll be set back from the street just like most of the American Family building is. So when you're driving down the street, it's going to make a lot of sense within the context of the neighboring properties. And we're going to be able to keep quite a few of the mature trees that are there because we are going to be setting a lot of the units back from the road.
I remember when the other property was purchased for the multifamily, and there was some questions done at that time about changing the zoning to R3. I was okay with changing that zoning because we have the business park all along Packerland. So this would now face Packerland, all of those multifamily units. So I do have, and it's in our comprehensive plan that it is undesirable. So I would have a hard time supporting this.
Aaron, a question I would have is, knowing that area out there, how many 10-acre parcels are actually out there for a bigger company to come in? I think it's very, very few.
There's fewer and fewer, definitely.
That's one of my major concerns, is that we have many multifamily projects going on, and they're all great, and it's not like I don't support them, but we're also, by doing this, rezoning this, we're cutting ourselves out to not allow business, a larger business to come in here on a 10-acre plot. We have one that just recently sold, or in the process of selling, where we're going to be able to get a business out there and be able to do that. We hung onto that piece of land for a long time. So I get what you're saying, is that there's residential all around in different areas, but I also agree with Mary. The Packerland corridor is all business park, and it's that way because of its access to highways, and also keeping it in that area for traffic and trucks and all that. So I additionally have a hard time supporting this.
I agree with both of you. When I first looked at it, I thought I was back in the Army again. They look like barracks to me. This is not what I thought should be on this piece of property. I know it's been for sale for a while. The company next to it, which is American Family, I know there's a lot of people working from their residence there. If you go by there and look at the parking lot, you could land an airplane in that parking lot and not hit a car. There's so many people working at home yet, including a sister of mine that does the work there. I had better visions of this property being, especially being at a 10-acre plot, something more of what is alongside of it. So I would not be too in favor of this whatsoever. Like I said, I think it's more desirable for something that fits in. As all of you as well know, I'm not for spot zoning.
Just to clarify on the spot zoning issue, spot zoning is something that seems like it's very easy to define, but in reality, it's a little more complex and nuanced than just a spot in an area.
I understand.
So just keep that, yeah, so bring that up for a point of clarification.
Can you explain the recommendation, discretionary zoning policy recommendation?
Right, so what this is, so when it comes to zoning actions like this, and really this becomes a policy decision or a policy recommendation by the Planning Commission, and ultimately a policy action then by the board. This is really a legislative policy-making decision, and as such, it wasn't really appropriate for staff to enter in a recommendation, recommending approval or recommending denial at this time.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we deny the request to rezone this parcel of property.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny the rezoning of this property. Any further discussion? Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
This will then go to public hearing and village board for final action on the fourth Tuesday of the month,
23rd.
23rd. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Number 8, items for next agenda.
Nothing yet, but I certainly anticipate we will.
Okay. I need a motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
That took way too long.